Hi everyone, and welcome back in part 3 of this section, our first Java program. Now you have all the weapons to start your first Java project. So let's get started. Remember the steps required for Java project? First, we need Java language source code file that contains instructions to the computer but written in the Java language and has extension to Java. Then compile that source code file or say translate Java language in that file using the Java compiler. And the output is another file with extension.class and written now in the intermediate language bytecode. Then run that bytecode or class file through the Java Virtual Machine or JVM and you get the output. Okay, now the first step is to create our source code file with extension to Java. And all we need is a text file using any text editor, even the Windows Notepad. So let's search for Notepad. Okay, now let's write our first Java program. First, let's write public class program, open and close curly braces. Okay, what's that? Every Java program must start with something called Java class. And if you wonder, does that word class relate with the output file that will has extension.class as we mentioned earlier? Yes, it relates. Where when we compile that source code file using the Java compiler, it will output another file with extension.class. But do you know which name that file will has? It will has the same name as that class name. That means the compiled file with extension.class resulting from compiling that source code file will has the same name as that class name, which is in our case called the program. And that class with the opened and closed curly braces is like the wrapper that wraps all the program code inside. And it's written like that: public keyword followed by the keyword class, then followed by the name you choose for that class. We name it now program. You can name it anything, but you have to write that name with the first letter in uppercase, but you can choose any name. Okay, then follow that class name with the curly braces, which inside we write our program source code. And any Java program must have at least one class that will wrap all the program source code inside. Okay, and you have another wrapper inside that main wrapper or main class, which is called main method, and it's written like that: public static void main where, since that main class wrapper will contain all the program source code inside, but that's what's called main method, will contain the code to be run, where we can write inside that class wrapper any program source code, but to make that source code to make action or to be run, we have to put it inside that main method. But for now, don't worry about all those weird lines and words, either class or method or any new word to you, where all you have to know for now is that any Java program must have those lines at least to be run, and the actual program code that do something will go inside those lines or wrappers. So now let's write a line that do something in our program. Say we want to print something on the screen. So to do so, we have to write that system with S in uppercase, then dot out dot print parentheses, and inside those parentheses we put double quotes, where that line will print on the screen anything or word that go inside those parentheses and double quotes. So let's say we want to print, hey, I am a programmer Okay, and now that line is a statement written in Java language. And similar to the statement you write in any language, say English language, you have to end that statement with a period or dot. But in Java language, to end the statement, we have to write at the end a semicolon rather than period. Okay, now we have our Java program source code that contains the main class, that is the main wrapper that wraps all the program source code. And inside we have the main method wrapper that contains the code to be run. And inside that main method, we write the code to print something on the screen. That we want to print, hey, I am a programmer. Okay, remember the steps? First, we have to write the source code file with extension to Java. So, we have that source code file and let's save it with extension to Java. So let's hit File, Save As. Let's save on the desktop. But wait, the file name matters. We have to name it the same name of the class it contains. Remember, we have a class with name program, so we have to name that file with the same name, program. And don't forget to make the first letter in uppercase. Okay, now we have to name it program and with extension to Java. So .java. Okay, let's save. Okay, and now we have that our source code file that names program, the same name as the wrapper class name, and with extension to Java. If you hover on the file, you will say that its type is Java file. And now not text file. Okay, that's the first step. And if you remember, the second step is to compile that file using the Java compiler. And to do that, we have to use the computer command prompt or CMD. So let's search for CMD. Open. Okay, now to compile a file using Java compiler, we have to write Java C, means the Java compiler, space, and then name the source code file, which in our case is called program, with first letter in uppercase, .java. Okay, if we hit enter, that Java compiler, Java C, will compile that source code file, program.java, into another file with extension.class, written in the bytecode intermediate language, and has extension.class. So let's hit enter. But we get a message that says file not found. What's wrong? And that's because in the command prompt or CMD, to deal with the file, as in our case we wanted to compile that file, program.java, we have to make the command prompt or CMD to point to or to open the folder that contains that file through something called path or directory, which is that line, which is considered as the address that inside it we can find some files. And that's mean we are now inside that folder Muhammad, that's inside that folder users, that's inside partition C. But since we saved our file program.java on the desktop, so to compile that file using the Java compiler inside the CMD or command prompt, we have to change that directory or path or address to point to the folder or address we save our Java source code file inside, which is in our case the desktop. But to make it easy for now, rather than changing that address to point to the desktop, we can save our source code file inside that address or directory or folder. So let's take that file, cut, and go to that directory. So let's go to partition C, search for folder users, and inside the users we find the folder Muhammad, the same as that directory. C partition, then open users folder, then open Muhammad folder. And now if we paste our file here inside that directory, let's paste, Now our source code file is saved inside that directory, folder Muhammad, inside folder users, inside partition C. That means that directory or path or address points now to the folder that contains our source code file. So if you try again to write Java C, then program.java and hit enter again. Okay, now if our source code file has no errors and compiled successfully, we will not see any error message. And now, if we go to our directory, we find that our source code file is here, which is named program with the extension Java file, and we see that the compiler outputs another file named the same name, program, and has extension .class, which is written now in the bytecode language rather than Java language. Okay, and if you remember the steps to make Java program, first Java source code file and save it with extension .java, then compile that file using Java compiler, and the output will be a bytecode file with extension .class, and the last step is to run that bytecode file or compile the file through the Java virtual machine or JVM. So to run that file in the Java virtual machine using the CMD or command prompt, we have to write that Java space and name the class file or bytecode file, which is named program with the first letter in uppercase, without writing the .class extension. Just write the class file name. Okay, and now hit enter. And voila, we get the output we expect, which is printing on the screen, hey, I am a programmer. Okay, and if we go to our source code file, we see that it prints what we say, hey, I am a programmer. But say we want to print another statement rather than that. Let's say we want to print hello. So let's delete that and replace with hello. And let's save and go to the command prompt. And if we run that file again using Java virtual machine, say Java, then the class name, and hit enter, what? We get the same message. Why is that? That's because we changed the instructions written in Java language in the source code file, but we don't compile it again. But the file which is compiled still has the instructions to print, hey, I am a programmer. But to change those instructions to print the new statement, we have to compile the source code file again to output a new compiled file with name program that replaces the old one with a new instructions that prints hello rather than, hey, I am a programmer. So let's compile that file. Java C program.java and hit enter. Okay, no message means no error. Okay, and now the Java compiler compiles that source code file, which is edited to write hello rather than, hey, I am a programmer, and the output is another file named program with extension .class with the new instructions that replaces the old one with the old instructions. And now if you run that file using Java virtual machine, say Java and the file program and hit enter, we can see that the new instructions is applied. Since after editing the source code file, we compile it again, so the output instructions will replace the old instructions and print the new message. Okay, so far so good. Now we write our first Java program successfully. But in the next video, we will see a more easy way to compile and run the file, rather than using the text editor and the command prompt. So see you.